Welcome to These Are the Blades of Our Lives, the figure skating show where I talk to you about figure skating like it is drama for our mamas. It is time to recap the 2024 U.S. Nationals. Yes. First, I would like to say that I was very, very happy that my worries about the turnout for U.S. Nationals was completely wrong. This was a very well attended event. It was in Lithuania, European, but it was far from the Canadian Nationals. You know, for most of the events, especially the free and the long program, we had packed audiences. So I was very, very happy to have been wrong in the turnout for US National being so good. I was very happy about that. Now, what I will say about this national is that no one came in here and won it. I would say we had a lot of awarding. A lot of these titles were awarded to people, but there was no one in here, not in any of the disciplines, where I felt like this person came in, they were confident, they knew this was their title, and they took it. Now, before I even get into US Nationals, I would like to answer two questions. There were two questions that had been asked when I did the prediction video. Yeah, so there were two questions that were asked. The first one was being asked by at b.rimsnyder 1328. I hope I'm saying this right. You guys know how notoriously bad I am with names. And the question basically asks, would you say that the 1998 and 2000 Olympics also went to winners and not champions? So this question is in regards to the fact that I went on a little rant about the International Skating Union, ISU, picking winners over champions. So yes, both the 1998 Olympics and the 2002 Olympics both went to winners and not champion. But they went to winners for two very different reasons. So in 1998, you had the ISU really on this fresh new 15 prepubescent champion. They loved the idea of these 15-year-old, prepubescent girls being champion. And when Tara Lipinski came out, they had their ideal model type. So at that event, at 2098, Tara Lipinski, first, she had horrible jump technique. She had these pre-rotated, she spun really fast, but she didn't get a lot of height. She didn't have a lot of ice coverage. She didn't have a lot of flow going in or out of her jump. So she had a really poor jump technique. And had the judges really graded her the way the jumps should have been graded, then she would not have won. Yes, she had the more difficult program, but her jumps were tiny and pre-rotated. So what happened is Tara gave a more difficult program, but it wasn't well delivered. She was very juniorish in terms of her delivery, in terms of her skating, in terms of her packaging. Then we had Michelle Kwan. Michelle Kwan didn't have as difficult as a program, but Michelle had classic, beautiful jump technique. Her jumps went up straight in the air and landed lightly. There was a lot of power coming into her jump and a lot of flow coming out, and she held an edge. Michelle gave us a complex, beautifully delivered program. She gave us everything. And the judges at that moment had the chance to say, let us invest in this champion. And they were like, no, Tara Lipinski has two sets of triple triples, under rotated, pre-rotated, tiny triple triples. They were like, no, let's give it to this winner, this prepubescent 15-year-old winner. And what happened? What was the end of that? Because of her poor technique, Tara was a 2-season skater who retired before 18 and needed a new hip. And I just want you guys to know, nothing in skating is new. Everything is recycled. Everything has been done before and is being repeated. This pattern with the picking of the 15-year-old who end up injured and retire is one that we've seen in figure skating since the beginning of time. Now you get to 2002. Remember, this is a U.S. Olympic. The Americans were determined to crown a U.S. woman as the champion. At this point, the favored champion was Michelle Kwan. After what had happened in 1998, the judges felt bad and everyone was ready to crown Michelle Kwan as that champion, that Olympic champion on US ice. Unfortunately, similar to what we saw in Sochi when Yulia Lutynskaya was the chosen champion to be crowned on home ice at a Russian Olympic, Michelle Kwan failed to deliver. The champion on that night could not deliver. I mean, Michelle fought with everything she had through that program. But then you had the major fall on the flip. Then you had a bunch of minor little mistakes on the jump. She was tight throughout the entire program. While artistically she was great, technically it was a hard sell. So in that moment, the champion failed to deliver. Now, the other option was Irina Slutskaya, another longtime rival of Michelle Kwan. But let us be honest, there was no way in hell that the U.S. was going to crown a Russian champion at the U.S. Olympic. It was not going to happen. So what ended up happening is they had to find another American lady. They had to replace Michelle with another American lady because an American lady had to be crowned. And honestly, Irina Slutskaya, like Michelle Kwan, made it easy for them because Irina did not show up. Her jumps were also tight. She made several errors in several of her jump passage, and she did not have the technical difficulty to compete. Both Michelle Kwan and Irina Slutskaya made it easier for the judges to crown a winner. And that winner was Sarah Hughes. Sarah Hughes, for all intents and purposes, had the skate of her life. Was she as sophisticated as Michelle Kwan? No. Was the program as complex? No. But she delivered it at 100%. And she delivered one of the most technically difficult programs we had ever seen for a women's program up to that point. And she had good, decent jumps. She did what needed to be done in that moment in time, which was great because the U.S. found themselves in a tight spot and they needed another U.S. women to put that crown on, and Sarah Hughes became that woman. Of course, we know what happened after that. She went on to win a silver medal at U.S. Championship. She placed 6th at that same World 2023, and then she retired. So her career is sort of like Alina Zagidova's career. Or maybe we should say Alina Zagidova's career is sort of like Sarah Hughes. Because, again, nothing in skating is unique. Everything is repetitive. What we saw happen in Sochi had already happened before, at the U.S. Olympic, where the backdoor dealing had already happened for a U.S. woman to be, or for the hometown, skater to be crowned, and the hometown skater failed to deliver, and then the backdoor dealing had to be redefined and another champion had to be found. The reason why people are not as upset about what happened in 2002 as they are about what happened in Sochi is because in that instant, the champion delivered. Kim Yuna delivered. Kim Yuna went into Sochi knowing that her chances of winning was slim to none. And yet she showed up like a champion with class, with grace, with courage, and she gave 2 of the best performances of her life. And they still robbed her. That is why Sochi hurts so much more than 2002. Because in Sochi, they could have crowned themselves a champion because the champion gave them every opportunity to crown her, and they still sped on it and chose a winner. So yes, to shorten my rant, yes, both 1998 and 2000 Olympic for women went to winners and not champion for different reasons, but the short answer is yes. Now, the other question is asked by Katrine Mogaver 5680. I am so sorry if I'm butchering everything. And she's basically asking, who do I define to be like current champions and men? Without a doubt, we have to start with the one and only Yuzuru Hanyu. Come on, the stats speaks for themselves. Two-time Olympic champion, came back for a third Olympic, tried to do the most difficult jump that the sport had ever heard of. But what makes Yuzu a champion is not the winning, because we've seen Hanyu be beaten. He was beaten by Javi. He was beaten by Nathan. He was beaten by Shoma. It's not about the winning or the losing. It's the fact that Hanyu was never defeated. We've literally watched Hanyu skate with his head bandaged, bloody bandage on top of his head. And every time he lost, Hanyu came back stronger and determined to be better. It's the longevity. It's the time we have seen Hanyu at his worst, at his best. It's the time that we have seen him triumph when we thought he would definitely falter. That is what has made him a champion. And of course, there is the legacy that he has left. And the legacy that he's still carrying on, because right now he's running a one-man show that is selling out Tokyo Dome. He's making millions of dollars for the Japanese, economic environment. The way he carried himself through the longevity of his career is what made him a champion. Being a champion doesn't mean you always win, but it means you are never defeated. You always come back trying to better yourself. So for me, of course, in this modern era of men, Yuzuru Hanyu is a champion. I would say Nathan to a lesser extent. And the reason why is because the technical difficulty of Nathan program made it impossible for him to have a long-lasting career. We're talking about like 6 quad program. That is nearly impossible. And that is why, he could only do 2 Olympics. He couldn't go for a third Olympic because that took such a toll on his body. But doing those 2 Olympics, we also saw Nathan at his worst. I think at his first Olympic, where he was deemed to be the winner of it all. He completely imploded at the short program. And I think he ended up 17th. But even though he was down, he was not defeated. He came back and fought his way from 17th to win that long program. And then he came back the next cycle and continued to win until he made it to the Olympic and he won that gold medal. And again, that longevity, we've been there with Nathan. We remember baby Nathan, who was so theatrical, who loved the show aspect of skating, who loved the dramatic. Then we remember teenage Nathan, who was too cool for skating, who wanted nothing to do with it. And then we remember the Nathan that managed to find his own style of skating, his own voice, his own cool, laid-back Nathan skating way. That is now, being imitated by other skaters like your Ilya Melanin, like your Steven Gugolev. That is the impact that he has left on the skating. So yes, you have your Nathan. Then, I would definitely say after that, you have Shoma Uno. Not so consistent, doesn't have that winning mindset, but what he has is this artistry, this love that he wants to share with the audience that makes him endearing. Another skater that we've been through the ups and downs with. We've literally watched Soma in the kiss and cry by himself, crying, completely broken down. And now we have a Shoma who sits in the kiss and cry and he actually smiles. A smile from Shoma. And I feel like if he could make it to Milan, if he manages to last to Milan, whether he wins or loses, whether he's first or fifth, it won't really matter. The longevity in what he has given artistically, because there are so many Shoma programs that is in my Watch Again playlist. For me, that would make him a champion. As for the upcoming generation, definitely Yuma Kageyama. He is so endearing. He is so cute. There is something about him. Even when he beats your favorite, you can't be mad at him because he's adorable. And again, we're getting that emotional investment in Yuma. Because remember, this is a skater who at his first Olympic won a silver medal. He was expected to be the next coming of figure skating. But then he was injured, and now he's building back from scratch. So you take that story of him building back from scratch, you add his endearment to it, you add the fact that he's growing artistically. And yes, you give it this Olympic cycle and the next Olympic cycle, and you have a champion in the making. And then you also have like your Adam Sion Hemfa. This is more like the rebel without a cause, your James Dean kind of champion. You have Adam here throwing flips and throwing backflips in the middle of the program just to say he could. There was something very cool, very bad boyish about Adam. And you have to remember, we are pre-programmed to like the James Dean, the rebel without a cause type. So we're also rooting for the Adam to be that bad boy type of champion. And again, Adam has a very unique point of view. His programs, whether you like it or you don't, you're going to talk about them because he's fully invested into these programs. You give that the time that it needs. You give it 2 Olympic cycle. And yes, you could have a champion on your hand. Now, there are some other skaters you could throw into that mix, but honestly, we just haven't had the time period with them for me to comfortably say, yes, I think this one will be a champion, or no, it won't. But if you ask me who do I think the men champion are of our generations, those are the ones that I would really kind of mention. Sorry for that rant. I hope I answered your questions. I'm sorry if I destroyed your names. But guys, no one in my life watches or like figure skating. And so to have you guys ask me questions, to have this community when I can come and talk about figure skating, it means so much to me and I am so happy. So thank you guys so much. But now to the actual recap of US Nationals. Let's start with pairs. First, you guys know me. I am all about safety first. So Ellen Chen and Spencer Howey came here. They did their short program, which is an Elvis short program. Lord help us all. They looked fairly good. But Spencer is just coming back from having shoulder surgery, and they decided that doing the long program was not worth it, and so they withdrew. This is just a sport. Health first, safety first. I'm so happy they decided to make that choice for themselves to give them the time to heal. So they were in first place after the short program. With them withdrawing, the field was wide open. Anyone could have stepped in and took it. But realistically, guys, no one stepped in and took it. So this was not a title that was won. This was a title that was awarded. So we're going to start with, I want to start with the 5th place finisher team here. So that's Catherine Macbeth and Daniel Pacman. They looked so solid in the short program. This is a team that has potential. They look so solid in the short program. Unfortunately, I think one of her blades broke and they had to get new blades. And they just, with the new blades, they just couldn't keep it together for the long program. But I honestly question what would have happened had that blade not broke. Could they have been one of the pairs to be on the podium? We're going to have to watch them. Hopefully they'll get some international assignment. They'll get some exposure and we can see what happened with them next season. Now in 4th place was Chelsea Liu and Balazs Nagy. Oh, I was rooting for this team because their twist out of this world, their lifts, the position that Chelsea can get in these lifts is exquisite. But that side-by-side jump and the throws are just not there. And without the side-by-side in the throws, there is no way for them to be competitive internationally. But I want this team to be, because that twist and those lifts and the spin are so special. But unfortunately, they did not put it together here, and they could not deliver. So they were in fourth place. In third place was Valentina Plaza and Maximiliano Fernandez. This was the best that I've seen them all season. It wasn't perfect, but it was the best that I've seen them all season. They landed most of their throws. They landed most of their side-by-side. They have beautiful spins. They have wonderful, exciting, bring the audience to their feet lift, because he is so strong. Max is so strong. And Valentina holds such a beautiful position in the air. They have beautiful lifts. They have a good twist. So for me, they're slowly getting it together. They're slowly getting it together. Then in second place was Elisa Efanova and Misha Metrofanova. This for me is the team to watch. If I had to tell US skating to invest in a team, it would be in this team. Now, in the short program, Alyssa fell on the throw. But even with a fall on the throw, they looked so amazing. She is a star. Her positions were beautiful. Her extension, her musicality. This woman knows how to hold an edge. This is the kind of skater who you know is going to get her gold medal no matter what. She reminds me of Aljona Savchenko. She reminds me of Aljona. The determination to get that gold medal no matter what. When I look at Alyssa, I get Aljona vibe. She is a star. And this pair has everything. Again, it's not perfect, but they have everything. This is the pair that you send to four continents. This is the pair that you send to world. Honestly, I think that Emily and Spencer should not go to worlds. They should take the time to be completely healed and come back next season stronger and better. I think US skating should send Alyssa and Misha to worlds to get them that exposure to the judges, to get them that international competition under their belt, because this team for me is where you should be investing. And then the winners here, who I felt like were awarded a title, is Ella Khan and Danny O'Shea. Oh my God, when you talk about the beauty of lifts, when you talk about extension, when you talk about a beautifully delivered program, when you talk about the in-between skating being exquisite, it's all about Ellie and Danny. They are exquisite skaters. And oh my God, Ellie for landing some of those side-by-side jumps. However, the throws were a hot mess. And the throws are worth so much. In an international competition, missing 2 throws will get you buried. It will get you buried. And they are heading to Worlds. And if they deliver at Worlds the way they delivered at Nationals, they will get buried. They will get buried. This is an exquisite pair in terms of their lifts. Their twist is good in terms of their position, their connection, their musicality. But they have got to get those throws together. So for me, this pairs event was not an event where I felt like anyone stepped up 100% and won it. It was a pairs event where I felt like they awarded the title to the person that did the best. So that's how I felt about pairs. Now moving on to the men. The men was the same situation. They awarded a title, but this was not the skates that I think most of these skaters wanted to have. We're going to start off with Tomoki Hiwatashi. Tomoki is such an interesting, innovative, unique skater. who just so happens to be incredibly inconsistent. Every time you look at Tomoki, you're like, if the consistency was there, we could have something incredibly special. And this was another outing where it was the same thing. There were moments of just specialness there, but he just couldn't put it all together to give us two clean programs. Then you have like Yaroslav Panat, an entertainer through and through, who has good jumps, but probably not the skating skills that he needs to have, not the edge control that he needs to have. Sometimes his jumps look a little wonky, but he has those quads. And when other skaters don't show up and he shows up with the quads and he's entertaining the audience, that might just motivate the judges to go his way. Not yet, but it's possible. Jimmy Ma. Oh my God, Jimmy Ma. Fan favorite Jimmy Ma. Who again, all of the potential in the world, so incredibly entertaining, yet cannot get the consistency going. But I have to say, this was the best free I had seen from Jimmy Ma in a long time. Yes, there were falls. Yes, the program was not perfect. But this was the cleanest I had seen Jimmy Ma in a long time. In fifth place was Andrew Turgashev. He's coming back from injury. What a fighter. He fought. He fought with that program. He fought for that program. Every time you thought he was going to fall, he managed to hang in there. My knees were hurting watching Andrew's program. His short program, not the jumps, but that step sequence, the investment that he has in the program, every movement, he is committed to this program, to the character, to the delivery. It's unfortunate that the long program got away from him, but it's understandable because he's coming back from injury. Hopefully, he can see that even with injury, he can still come out here and be fifth, and he can slowly build from that. And then for me, oh, and you guys know I love Jason Brown, but for me, the skater that should have been in second place, for me, the skater that was robbed was Maxim Nemov. He came out in that short program and he was solid. He gave it everything in that short program and was rightfully in second place. He came out in the long program. It was not perfect. He had a fall. He had some touchdown. He had some under rotation. But overall, he gave us the best that he could. And if it had been up to me, I would have put him in second place. I wouldn't send him to Worlds, but I would have put him in second place because that would have been fair. That would have been fairness based on what we saw from the competitors that night. I would have had, as much as I love Jason, Maxim Nemov in second place, and I would have had Jason Brown in fourth place. Because that to me would have been fair. But even if I had Maxine in second place, I would have still sent Jason Brown to Worlds because with Jason's experience, with his, longevity, I know Jason would perform under the pressure of Worlds and would help the U.S. keep that third spot. Whereas Maxine, there was no way to tell. So the fair outcome would have been for Maxime Nemov to have been put in the silver position, but the wise decision would have been to still send Jason, who I would have put in fourth place, to Worlds. Now in third place, in having two of his best outing, was Kemden Polkinen. Came out in the short, was relatively clean. Came out in the long, there was some Camden situation, the popping. With Camden, it's not the falling, it's the popping that always does him in. But even with that, these were two of the best performances that we have had for Camden. And I'm glad that he's going to World because given the feel of the U.S. men, this makes sense. And I'm even happier that he decided to pull himself out of Four Continent to fully, dedicate himself to Worlds, because the turnaround from US Nationals to Four Continent makes no sense. So I'm glad he decided to pull out. Now in second place, I love him, I love him, I love him to pieces. But these were not the best outing for Jason Brown. He had a fall on the triple axel in his short program. The long program, he's not in shape. You could tell that Jason's been doing shows as he should, because he's fabulous and we need to share him through shows. But you could tell he was not competition ready yet. But I would still send Jason to Worlds over any of these men any day of the week. Why? Because I know when it matters. I know when it counts. Jason will deliver. So even though this was not, his two best outings, even though I would have put him in fourth with all the love of my heart, I'm glad that Jason is going to World, because the U.S. men need him to go to World to keep that third spot. Hopefully he now has time. He can go back. He can do some Tracy edge work. He can work with Brian. They could get those consistency back, and we can see a clean, fabulous Jason at Worlds. And the winner here, and this was a hard watch in the long program, is, of course, Ilya Malenin. It seems to be the jinx for Ilya in terms of the not doing so well at U.S. Nationals. He came out in the short program. He was fabulous. He was good. He was feeling the program. He was feeling himself. The jumps were on point. He was giving us some choreography. He was giving us some holes. You could see he's trying. You could see the improvement being made. We get to the long program, and I'm not too sure what was going on, but the fight that he usually has for the jumps were not there. There were falls. There was step out. It just wasn't his best performance. But I feel like I'm not concerned about Ilya for Worlds based on his national performance, only because Ilya is the kind of skater that gets angry when he has a bad performance, and that motivates him to come back and be even stronger. So I think this outing at National is getting it out of his system, and I can definitely see Ilya coming back even stronger for Worlds. So I'm not at all concerned about Ilya. And then we got to the ice dance, the dance. And oh my God, I have feelings. Guys, I have feelings. First of all, my poor babies, Ona Brown and Cage Brown. Oh, this was a difficult outing for them. The short program wasn't so bad, but you could tell they were tight. It was like they sensed, the podium was not that far off their reach, that a fourth place finish, that pewter was not that far off of their reach, and they just got tight. It just got in their way. In that, oh my God, that free dance was truly hard to watch. You could tell how devastated they were. But regardless of this outing, I still think this team has so much potential. I still think this is a team that the U.S. should invest in. They should have 2 Grand Prix assignments. They should have a lot of, senior Bs to help them build, to help them get control of their nerves, because the potential is there. Guys, the performance of the night for me in the free dance. They were okay in the short dance. Their rhythm dance doesn't really do anything for me, but the free dance, Isabella Flores and Ivan Desetov. Oh my God, I am not a West Side Story fan because I feel like it is overly used in figure skating. But Isabella had me saying, I feel pretty, also pretty. Oh my God, this team for me had the performance of the night. The speed. If Reckless Abandonment was a ice dance pair, it would be this pair. Ivan was flinging Isabella from left to right. My heart was in my throat, and Isabella was taking it like a champion. This team has so much power, so much speed, so much depth. I want to see more. And I couldn't say that about some of the other teams, but Isabella and Ivan, I want to see more. They were definitely the team of the night for me. And then my babies again. This was not my night. The skating gods were not showing me any favor. Amelia Zingras and Vladimir Kolesnik. They were so good in that rhythm dance. And you guys know I do not like Michael Jackson. And I really wish people would stop using Michael Jackson in skating, period. But Amelia and Vladimir were sharp in that Michael Jackson rhythm dance. They were on point. They were exciting in that rhythm dance. I felt like they were a little underscored on that rhythm dance. But they were fabulous. And then we get to the Beauty of the Beast free dance, which is not one of my favorite free dance. And it just got away with them. It just got away. First, Vladimir missed the twizzles. And then it was just like they couldn't get their head back in the game. Again, I think this was another team that just could not handle the pressure of the potential possibility of them being on the podium. And to that, I say, U.S. skating, give them 2 Grand Prix assignments. Give them some senior Bs. Let them get used to international competing. Let them get used to competing against other seniors. Let them build, because the potential is there. Now, my problem with Amelia and Vladimir is really their coaching staff. I just feel like Igor Spielberg is a starter coach. That is the coach that you go to get you started, but Igor is not a finisher. He's not a packager. He's not a deal closer. That's why when Igor and Maria Zuevo broke up, all the teams went with Maria, because Maria was the one that was going to get you to the finishing line. She was the one that was going to package you. Maybe it's time Igor and Maria got back together, because Igor, you have a gold mine in your hand with Amelia and Vladimir. But if you keep giving them Michael Jackson and Beauty and the Beast program, they're never going to make it to the top of the podium. And that is a shame, because I feel like Vladimir has been with Igor for so long that he's not going to leave Igor. And that might leave their career buried. So this is definitely sad, but we're going to have to wait and see. And then in 5th place, we had Ava Pate and Logan Bai. Again, this is not a pair that does anything for me. I'm not a big fan of their short program, and I don't get the long program. I'm not a big fan of their rhythm dance, and I don't get the long program. It does nothing for me. They seem to be well-liked by the judges, but they don't do anything for me. Maybe it's their packaging. Maybe they'll have programs that finally move me. But for right now, they don't really do anything for me. And then Caroline Green and Michael Parson. What a just sad story. What a sad story, because this team had so much momentum and so much potential. Poor Caroline and Michael have lost so much momentum that I'm not even sure how we can fix this. So as it stands, the U.S. skating is not sending them to Worlds. I don't agree with that decision. I do think they should be sent to Worlds. Yes, they had a bad outing here at Nationals, but I don't feel like that's sufficient reasons to not send them to Worlds, because they have been one of the stronger U.S. pairs all season. But unfortunately, Caroline and Michael have been losing momentum for the last 2 years. They're not properly packaged. Their skills are not really being utilized. And it's such a shame, because they had such a moment 2 years ago. Their career was going in such the right direction, and now to watch it be completely derailed, I'm not too sure. So I don't think they could change coaches at this point in time. But then I did see Michael looking over at Montreal coaches and cozying up to them. So maybe, they'll make that change, because something needs to happen. Something needs to happen to get this team back on track, because if they go another year and their packaging is not right and they lose more momentum, they will find themselves not in fourth place, but maybe in sixth or seventh place. And that's a shame, because Caroline Green and Michael Parson have potential. The surprise of the night, a pleasant surprise for me, was the bronze medal, Emily Bratti and Ian Somerville. You guys know how much I love Ian. He gives me shades of Jean-Luc. His extension, his edge control, his knee bend, his glide, his speed. Ian gives us face for days. I am a huge fan of Ian. And Emily Bratti is skating up. She has made so much progress in such a short time, and I can only see her getting stronger. Love them in that rhythm dance. And then they came in the free dance and they gave everything. I agree 100% with this third place finish. They deserve it. I do not agree with sending them to Worlds. All season long, Emily and Ian have not been getting the kind of scores that would make them competitive internationally. They also lack the experience of being on such a big stage such as Worlds. And although I am incredibly happy for them with this bronze medal, and I hope they get more assignments and more international exposure, I say send Emily and Ian to four continents and sent Michael and Caroline to Worlds. But nevertheless, I was very happy for Emily and Ian. Congratulations. Well done. Absolutely wonderful. Then we move on to Madison Chock and Evan Bates. So they came out, they did the rhythm dance. They look fabulous in that rhythm dance. They're really, really starting to get that rhythm dance together. Then they came down with the flu. Of course, you guys know where I stand about safety first, health first. They should have just withdrew. But I feel like it's easy for us to say that, because figure skating, especially ice dance, is all about momentum. So they probably felt like if they withdrew from national, that would cause them to lose momentum going into Worlds, and they're desperately trying to defend that world title with the Italians and the Canadians right there at their heels. So they probably felt like they had to do what they had to do and they had to compete. And unfortunately, you could tell poor Evan looked not well. He did not look well. And of course, your head is full of mucus. You're cold and hot. You're sick, and then you go to do twizzles. Your center of gravity is completely off. So it was completely understandable that poor Evan ended up botching those twizzles. As a result, they ended up losing the free. I mean, they won overall because they had done enough in the rhythm dance to put them ahead, but they ended up losing that free. But overall, they barely managed to get the job done. Now, our silver medalist, who did end up winning that free, was Christina Carrera and Anthony Podomarenko. These are such nice kids. They don't always speak to me as skaters. I don't always feel them 100%. But if for nothing else, then that hearty laughter of one Scott Moyer in the kiss and cry, this was well deserved. They came out here, they gave it 100%. This was the first time all season where I felt that free dance, because they felt that free dance. They knew that silver medal was within reach for them, and they went all out and they fought for it, and it was wonderful to see. I don't know how they're going to do at Worlds. I don't know how they're going to hold up internationally, but it was wonderful to see them work so hard and be rewarded. Again, it's going to be all about how this pair is packaged next season to see where they're going to end up. And then finally, as always, we get to the ladies. More so than any other of the disciplines, this was not a title that was won. This was a title that was awarded. Most of the women, unfortunately, did not seize the opportunity. They did not step up. And it was unfortunately very, very sad to see. I want to start off with Sojana Hilmer. Oh my God, she is so fun. She is such a fun skater. Yes, technically not competitive, but there is something so cool about this skater. That Matrix program was so much fun. There was something really cool about this skater. Then in 11th place was Soho Lee. This skater has potential. We didn't see that potential here today, but this is a skater that has a lot of potential. Then of course we had Elise Len Gracie. Beautiful skater, beautiful skater. This was all about gaining experience. This was all about being on a big international stage. Give this skater a couple of years. This is a beautiful skater. Give this skater a couple of years. Then, of course, we had Audrey Chin. Another beautiful skater, but those under rotation, the under rotation will get her every time. Audrey needs to get herself a jump specialist like it was yesterday. Because for her to be such a wonderful skater and for her to always be buried under rotation is truly sad. Then we got to Mia Callan. Beautiful quad. But that's about it. This is not a complete skater. This is definitely a skater that's like a one-trick skater right now. And that one trick is the quad. Unfortunately, the quad is not going to make up for the fact that her triples are often under-rotated. She often falls on the triple. The skating skills is not there. The spins is not there. Yes, that quad is amazing. But one quad does not a program make. I actually feel like she should stop working on the quad and start working on her triples. Start working on the skating skills. Start working on the spins. Start getting all the elements together and then add back in that quad. Because right now it's just not where it needs to be. And then you guys know how hard I was rooting for Lindsay Thorngreen. And then right before Nationals, she sprained her ankle. So she did not have any chance to practice and only got on the ice just to see how she could do. I know she's scheduled to go to Four Continent. I hope she pulls out. I hope she pulls out of Four Continent and just takes the time to heal. But she's unlikely to do that because given what happened at National, she probably wants to go to Four Continent to prove herself so that she could get assignments for next season. But that short program is so beautifully choreographed. But unfortunately, the jumps weren't there. And then when you got to the free dance, you really saw how injured Lindsay was because the mistakes she was making on the jumps were mistakes that Lindsay normally does not do. That she was two-footing jumps and stepping out of jumps, and you could tell that she was somewhat in pain. But I still have my money on Lindsay. Why? Because she has the better jump technique and there is room for her to grow, and she looks like the kind of skater who's willing to put in the time to grow. Not the best outcome for her here, but I still feel like the potential is there. And then, surprise, surprise, in the top 6, Star Andrew came out in the short program, went for that triple toe that she's known for and set down that triple toe. And the problem with Star's short program is when you do those kind of hip hop pop program, they're high energy. If you make a mistake, that energy gets sucked out of the program and it's hard to rebuild it and get the fans on your side. She did the best she could to salvage that short program. But again, it was what it was. But she came back in the free program and oh my goodness, she looked good. 90% of her jumps landed. And she still had time to sell the program and perform. This was the best I had seen Star Andrew in a long program in a long time. So if we could get the short together, the long together, who knows? But still finishing top 6, that is a very good outing for Star Andrew. And 5th place was Claire So, a very well packaged skater. Did wonderful in the short program. Jumps were girthy jumps, ice coverage, speed. Beautiful in the short program. Double axel. But unfortunately, Claire does not have the technical firepower to really compete with the top dogs. And that is why at the end, she's in 5th place and off of that podium. But if she could get some consistent triples in her free program, she could definitely be in the conversation because she's got good ice presence. She's got good ice coverage. She's got girthiness. She's got good spin. Everything is there. We just need to complete that technical aspect to have ourselves a full skater. But I always enjoy watching Claire. And then surprise out of nowhere with Sarah Everhart. What a beautiful girthy jumper. Straight up in the air. Nice strong back. Deep knee bend. Easy landing. Beautiful jumper. Doesn't have much ice presence. Doesn't really emote. Doesn't really have the artistry. Doesn't really have the skating skill. But she's young. She's young. With that jump technique, if she can take some acting classes, if she could take a couple of ballet classes, if they could package her a little better, we could have something on our hand. We could have something on our hand. Then we get to 3rd place, and I am so surprised because, guys, I honestly thought come hell, come high water, Isabel Levito was going to be crowned the U.S. champion. Unfortunately, the short program, I would have had Isabel in 2nd place. I would have had Isabel after Ember Glenn after that short program because it wasn't a mistake on one spin. It was a mistake on 2 spins. And then added onto that, you guys know how I feel about Isabel's jump technique. I automatically feel her jump technique should be given a negative GOE. So when you take the jump technique and you add it to the fact that her spins had errors in them, I would have had Isabel in 2nd place after Ember Glenn. But of course, you know, the U.S. really wanted to push Isabel in terms of crowning her, you know, the U.S. champion. So they had her in 1st place. I will say I am happy that she changed that short program because the dress was hideous, the program was heavy, it chopped up her line, all of the good things about Isabel, her extension, her line, her glide, the fact that she makes beautiful pictures on the ice, the fact that she holds position, that program did nothing to highlight any of that. So I'm really glad she decided to change her short program. And then we got to the long program. We got to the free skate. You guys know I was already giving her positive GOE because they changed that ugly dress and they gave her that nice pretty black dress. So I was ready to go with Isabel. I was ready to go with Isabel. She went up on her triple combination, and you know how bad her technique is. She had no speed and no flow coming into it, and no speed and no flow coming out of it, and she just set that jump right down. And then she proceeded to sit 2 more jumps right down. This was probably the most difficult to watch performance of her career. And again, when she goes into these jumps and she's making that 90-degree bend over, she's doing the bow to the ice. You know the strain on the back, the strain on the hip, the strain of the knee. All of that is happening at the same time. So for Isabel, whose technique day by day looks more and more like Anna Shcherbakova, it's going to be an uphill climb because remember, to get Anna Shcherbakova to the Olympics, we needed the puberty blocker, we needed the hormone suppressor, and she had to go on a liquid diet. Now, that's not something anyone should have to do. especially not from now until Milan. That's 2 years away. But given the technique that Isabeau has been taught, it is going to be an uphill battle, and it is truly sad because this is a skater that has ice presence. This is a skater that could be a champion, that you could sell to the masses. There's something endearing about her. She's cute. She's personable. But that jump technique, I just can't get behind it. I just can't do it. And I felt truly, truly bad for her because you could tell she was devastated. And it's truly sad. And then for me, the skater of the night, the skater who acted like she was here to achieve something, Josephine Lee. Beautiful short program, the best jumps out of all the US ladies. There is no question about her rotation. Beautiful extension, beautiful spin. She's a very tall, lengthy skater, very elegant looking on the ice. And then after she did that short program, it was like a weight was lifted off her shoulder, because remember last year at National, the short program just got away from her. Not this one. The short program, when she did that triple combination, you could tell something just clicked within her. And when we came to the long program, she skated like she was meant to be there, like she wanted to achieve something. She smelled that the title was within reach and she wanted it. And honestly, on that night, I would have given it. I would have given it to Josephine Lee, because she was the only skater to give us two clean, a clean short and a clean free. I would have given it to Josephine. But of course, that's not what's going to happen. She did win the free. Congratulations. Hopefully she'll get to Grand Prix assignment. We'll get to see more of her. The judges will get to see more of her. And she will only grow from here, because this is a well-packaged, well-rounded skater. If she can get the mentality of competing as a champion under her, we could definitely see something special. And then the winner of this night, Miss Amber Glenn. Oh, thank goodness, Amber finally has her U.S. national title. I could not be more excited. Congratulations, Amber. That short program was phenomenal. Girthy jumps. Every single jump. That loop is butter. That short program was everything. And then that triple axel in the free. Woo! I honestly thought like, yes. Unfortunately, the rest of the free, not great. Probably not the kind of, I'm here to win this national championship free program that Amber wanted. Probably not the I'm here to win. But she did enough. She did enough to get on that podium and win the title. And I'm incredibly, incredibly happy for Amber. Now, I don't know. I don't know what is going to happen in Worlds. But I do think there are some skaters that the U.S. probably does need to start investing in. Sarah Everhart, Josephine Lee, Lindsay Thorngreed. I feel like these are some skaters that the U.S. probably should start investing more in, instead of putting all their eggs in one basket. But anyhow, guys, I know this is a very long video, but thank you so much for turning in. But please let me know what you thought about U.S. Nationals. Did you feel anyone won their titles, or do you feel like me that in all four disciplines the titles were awarded? Let me know in the comments below. Oh, P.S., because I forgot to mention this. Ashley Wagner and Adam Rippon, did such a good job commentating on this event. They were honest. They actually had opinions. They actually stated the opinions. They weren't mean. They weren't petty. They were informative. They were professional. Really well done, Ashley and Adam. This was the first time I didn't have to fast forward through whatever the commentator was saying. I enjoyed it.